one of my favorite games ever. Let's get going. This gives me goosebumps every time. Baby, baby, baby. Hello, hello. Okay, and we are starting from the Earth, so, and Captain is a novelization gave the Captain a name, Zelnik. What? Okay. Indicator is enough. Okay, we have a third. We don't have much of anything, so. So let's get going. Adventure starts. I might change the music because why not? I know where I live, so. Okay, where's the blue planet? Why there's two red planets here now?
Attention, interloper. Heed this recorded message. This drone vessel speaks with the voice and authority of Ur-Quan. You are trespassing within Ur-Quan space. This world, Earth, may not be approached for any reason, nor will hostilities against our orbital platform be tolerated. In addition, your ship does not respond to standard hierarchy identification transmissions, and is therefore deemed to be independent. This is not permissible. Only subservience shall be tolerated. This drone now leaves to inform the Ur-Quan of your transgressions. You are commanded to remain here and await the arrival of the Ur-Quan. Disobedience will be punished.
Okay, so Earth is lost. last spaceship, human spaceship, not going well, and we don't have a fuel to go back home. So where we started.
Attention, unidentified space vessel. I am Starbase Commander Hayes of the slave planet Earth. Our hyperwave broadcast is extremely weak. Situation critical. Energy cores exhausted. Scanners and deep radar are non-functional. We cannot identify your vessel. Are you the scheduled hierarchy resupply ship? Repeat, are you the resupply vessel? The starship what? Never mind, look, we won't last much longer. Here's our situation. According to our oath of fealty to the Ur-Quan, we must maintain the starbase, but we have no space vessels of our own, and the shield prevents us from contacting Earth, so we're totally dependent on the Ur-Quan supply vessels for everything we need up here. We know there's a hierarchy base on the surface of the moon, but we can't contact them. The Ur-Quan were supposed to resupply the base at regular 5-year intervals, but we haven't received anything in almost 8 years. What we don't recycle, we can usually synthesize, but to do so we need replacement radioactives for our generator energy cores. If you could bring us some radioactive elements, we can fabricate the cores ourselves. Are you willing to help us? The fastest way to get radioactives in this system would be to land on Mercury and scour the surface for deposits of radioactive elements. But be careful. Mercury's a pretty inhospitable place. Watch out for earthquakes and those high-temperature areas. Thanks. I'll make sure to mention this the next time I talk with our masters. I'm sure they will reward you.
Okay, let's go to the Mercury. We have only one lander, so it's time to save scum. That was pretty normal back in the day. There's several scans we can do, so we need the red ones. No biological. Ouch, we lost people. People are hit points in this game, so... Okay, now we lost people. That's live. Can't scan. Yep.
Did you find any radioactive elements for our power cores? We're initiating transfer of radioactives, Captain. Now, as soon as our engineers can refit the energy cores, there, that's much better. Power ratings are climbing. Life support is coming back into the green. Deep radar systems and sensors are now online, and I can scan your vessel. What the hell kind of ship is that? Just who are you, Captain?
I'm Captain Selnik of the Starship Vindicator. We are survivors of the Star Control Science Research team to the Vela star system.
Star Control Science Mission, huh? Captain, I served as a Star Control officer during the war aboard several cruisers in the Corward Front. And if there'd been any scientific mission to Vela, I would have heard about it. You know, come to think of it, there were some rumors that Corridor 9, the Special Operations Division of Star Control, was directing some hush-hush operation near Androsynth Space. The Vela star system, yes, that would be the right direction. So, Captain, if you say it's true, how do you explain that huge alien starship you're flying? And why are you here? What do you want from us?
We have returned to Earth to give you the technological secrets of the precursors and to help you fight the hierarchy.
Fight the Ur-Quan. Win back our freedom. I remember having such thoughts myself once, long time ago. That was in the first years after the defeat, when it was still terrifying to look up and see the bloody glow of the pulsating slave shield overhead. Though day and night we gazed up at the impenetrable wall as though the sheer power of our hatred would pull it down. But over the years I spent so much of my time struggling, down on the surface, under the shield, and then later up here trying to keep the station alive, that I'd forgotten what it means to be free, to hate our Ur-Quan Masters. And now here you are, in an alien ship of unknown power, offering me your assistance to fight against the hierarchy again after all these years. Captain, your offer is intriguing. It's tempting to think that with your advanced precursor technology we can somehow crack the Earth's slave shield and reassemble the Alliance to attack the hierarchy. And this time, win the damn war. Consider the consequences if you should fail. The Ur-Quan won't just punish us here on the station, they'll exact a gruesome retribution on the surface below as well. Before I commit this station to helping you attack the Ur-Quan and accepting the risk of annihilation if we are defeated, I have to make sure that you and your ship have what it takes to oppose the hierarchy. I'll make you a deal. If you can eliminate the alien base on the moon and get rid of that threat at least, I will seriously consider your offer. After the Ur-Quan erected the slave shield around the Earth and established this space station, they decided to leave a contingent of combat ships close to the Earth to keep watch on our planet and confirm that they were obeying the Ur-Quan slave laws. I'm certain they're still out there on the surface of the moon because we can pick up a constant stream of alien broadcasts. Be careful, Captain. There are probably a dozen Spathi Eluders and Ilrath Avengers down there on the lunar surface.
Yay.
I don't know why they haven't come after you yet, but when they do, you'd better have your weapons armed and your thrusters burning hot.
Well, maybe they are having a nap. Okay, biologicals. I might want to like test the 3D DO versions of the 3D DO had like a slightly different kind of planet exploration scene. Where are the warships? Report on surface. We have discovered an alien base and have explored its interior. The installation must have been abandoned many years ago, but great care has been taken to make it appear active. Life support system are functional, fusion generators are at the full output, and robotic construction vehicles have been programmed to roam the lunar surface, bulldozing moon dust into random piles. In addition, we have found the installation's hyperwave locked in the transmit mode, endlessly playing the same alien recording. Although we cannot translate the message, our Xenotech engine Rigby pleased its message is some kind of alert or mayday broadcast. The base is filled with the useful materials and equipment. We will scavenge as much as we can and bring it aboard immediately.
Have you dealt with the base yet?
Found the base, but it was abandoned years ago.
All these years we've been listening to their incoherent broadcast, and we never even guessed. Captain, listen closely. Long-range sensors show a ship closing on this station fast. Our computer identifies it as Ilrath, Avenger class. I think you've got a fight on your hands, Captain. Your best bet is to wait until you have point-blank range. Captain, it's jamming our signal.
By the fetid breath of the Dark Twin Cain, a human and an alien starship. How fascinating. When I intercepted that Ur-Quan drone and learned that an unidentified starship had approached Earth, I never expected to find such a remarkable vehicle in the hands of a human. Humans are prey animals, weak and helpless. But here is a human in an armed starship, and therefore in direct violation of the oath of fealty. I am sure our masters, the Ur-Quan, will punish Earth most severely for this treachery when I present them with the twisted wreckage of your ship and your many charred corpses.
Nice. Where the hell did you came from?
Since you will soon be dead, I will gladly explain. We have spent many years gleefully preying on the Pakunk. They are a pitiful, easily killed species. And we would have continued in this divine worship of Dogar and Kazon, but we required additional crew members and repairs to our cloaking device.
They can't cloak.
So we departed the Jiglass constellation and set course for home. But before we had reached our region of space, we detected the passage of a nearby vessel, the Ur-Quan drone. It informed us about you, so here we are. And now, you die!
Buck Rogers.
What a beautiful sight, Captain. I haven't seen an Avenger blown away like that since the battle in Draco. I guess you've shown that you can handle yourself in battle, Captain. So my last reservation about helping you has been dissolved. I will commit this station to helping free Earth and defeat the Ur-Quan. We may get our atoms rearranged in the process, but by God, Captain, we're going to try. So the obvious first step is to get the precursor equipment and software over here so that we can make it work with our ship repair fabricators. But then what, Captain?
I have planned. I'm a really good plan, but no, for now it must remain a secret. You can bullshit your way through this game as well. We will slowly build and strengthen the Allied starfleet and bring the Ur-Quan and the Cain equivalents.
A sensible plan, Captain. Let's get to work. Good luck. By the way, Captain, I think we need a name for this new alliance we're going to forge. And since it was your idea, it's only fair that you get the honor of naming it. So, what will it be?
The Empire of Zeldik. Concordians of... I'm going to be boring a new alliance of 3 stars.
Okay, that sounds pretty inspiring. So be it. The new alliance of free stars. Now, Captain, I expect the configuration process for the starbase to take at least 2 weeks, so let's get to work. I have good news to report, Captain. We have successfully integrated the precursor technology from your ship into our fabricator system, and as you can see, we've already begun minor repairs on your ship, patching up some of the micrometeorite holes. We noticed that your ship does not have an emergency warp escape unit, so our engineers rigged up some for you and each of your escorts. Now, you should be able to escape from a bad situation with the touch of a button. But there is a cost, however. The unit gulps up 5 fuel units each time your precursor ship uses it. Also, we now have a limited capacity to make modifications to your ship, to refine starship fuel, to build additional combat ships, and to train new members of your crew for the flagship and any ships you acquire for your fleet. Captain, I know you're eager to get to work, so I'll be brief. If you have any questions how this starbase works, what resources we need, or just some background information on the galaxy, don't hesitate to ask. The more minerals you bring us, Captain, the faster we'll be able to tackle the Ur-Quan. Certainly, Captain. What do you need to know? We can modify your precursor ship, build additional combat vessels, and supply you with fuel and crew. Our engineers and precursor specialists agree with the scientists from your world that your starship was designed to be a workhorse vehicle, which can be easily reconfigured for different missions by adding or swapping self-contained equipment packs, which we call modules. The modules we can build right now are thruster units, which make your ship move faster, attitude jets, which allow you to rotate the ship more quickly, crew pods, which provide life support facilities for up to 50 additional crew members, storage bays, which increase your ship's cargo capacity for mineral resources, fuel tanks, which hold an additional 50 units of fuel, dynamos, which feed energy into your combat energy batteries, improving your weapon's rate of fire, and last but not least, ion bolt guns, combat weaponry, the exact function of which depends on its location aboard the ship. When put in the first or front module slot, it fires a single shot forward. When put in the second slot, it fires 2 shots, spread to the left and right of center. When put in the third slot, it fires 2 shots directly left and right. And when put in the last or rear slot, it fires a single shot straight backwards.
Yeah, so basically this is going to be a it's pretty much a grinding game for those minerals.
Our shipyard facilities are sophisticated and fully automated, permitting a handful of starbase personnel to do the same job as 500 vac-suited construction workers. However, the only designs that we had in our computers were incomplete hierarchy ship designs. Things looked grim until one of the officers came forward with an amazing story. Even though the Ur-Quan destroyed every Earthling cruiser in the fleet nearly 20 years ago, one of my maintenance engineers was a starship production assistant at the Detroit shipyard. When Earth was conquered, she was ordered to destroy all ship construction databases. But she secretly made copies of the blueprint discs and then kept them with her ever since. These discs contain all the data we need to build as many Earthling cruisers as you want, provided you, Captain, can supply the large amounts of mineral resources required to build those vessels. In theory, Captain, we could build alien starships here if we had designs for them. However, it's a well-known fact that alien vessels just can't be flown in combat without native starship captains at the helm. We have almost 2,000 highly motivated, skilled professionals aboard this starbase, and every single one of them wants a berth aboard your starship. However, each hand we lose to your ship means less manpower here at the starbase, and this is reflected in the crew RU cost. As long as you don't lose too many crew members to combat or planet exploration, the RU cost will remain static. But we have only so many warm bodies on this starbase, and if your needs for crew grow beyond a certain point, the cost could increase dramatically.
I think I usually manage to like kill 1,000 of my own crew members. That rises the cost of the crew members.
As you know, Captain, we've committed the entire output of this station to building your flagship and your battle fleet into the strongest force possible. However, our resources are very limited, and we feel you must decide how we are to spend our effort and materials. To aid you in making these decisions, we have implemented a resource allocation scheme. We provide you with a numerical assessment of the station's resources and ascribe a cost to each task we can perform and each device we can build. It's up to you to decide how you're going to spend your resource units, or RU as we call them. To acquire more RU, you must bring resources back to the starbase. These resources can be either in the form of mineral ores gathered from planet surfaces or already refined metals and other valuable materials from the wreckage of enemy starships. This base is designed to serve as hierarchy ships. Fortunately, your flagship uses the same stabilized antimatter technology as hierarchy vessels.
I wonder
and
why.
will be able to synthesize what you need. However, due to the size of your ship, we'll have to produce vast quantities of fuel, which will be a substantial drain on our resources. The most straightforward way you can accumulate resource units is to bring mineral ores back to this starbase. There are probably enough resources in just the nearby dozen stars to build your ship into a powerful battleship or to create a strong task force of combat vessels. I would also recommend that you build several additional storage bays. When gathering minerals, focus on cleaning out one star system at a time. This way you minimize the cost of travel through hyperspace. While I respect your search for abstract knowledge, frankly, Captain, in our present circumstances, I see little use for such data here. Perhaps you could make use of biological information elsewhere.
Hint, hint, hint.
What else can I tell you? What aspect of history, Captain? Which group of aliens? Okay, which race? The Shofixti are a race of intelligent marsupials who had been civilized for only a few decades when the war began. They were discovered in the Delta Gorno star system by the Yehat, who adopted and then uplifted the Shofixti, giving them advanced technology and cultural definition. Shofixti are noble and fearless warriors, Captain. In addition, their incredible fecundity and rapid maturation rate kept Alliance ranks solid even at the worst part of the war. You know, I once flew as an observer aboard one of their ships on routine patrol. We never saw the enemy, but I could never stop thinking about the glory device it had strapped to the bottom of its hull.
they can explode their own ship. Alright, let's... I'll show the map. So here's the map. Okay, so Sol is right here, and yep, I probably need to like open it on the next screen here. The original game came with the paper map, so this version of the game doesn't show the locations of the former races, which is like a hint what you get at the start of the game.
The Yehad are a race of ancient warrior clans that have been traveling the stars for many centuries. Clans are highly competitive and sometimes even wage war on each other, but the clans are all loyal to the Queen and her royal family, known as the VGChartz. The VGChartz have been in power for over 2,000 years, and it is said that during their rule, the Yehad never lost a battle. I'd like to think I'm not a bigoted person, Captain, especially when it comes to allies, but there's just something about those Arilu that gives me the creeps. One thing I'll say for them, though, they possess some technique for moving really fast through hyperspace. They never let us know what it was, but it sure beats the pants off our fastest ships. Genjutsu were leaders of the Alliance, even though they refused to accept formally the title. I don't know if their silicon-based biology is just plain superior to our old carbon models, or if their fantastic intellect were the product of an ancient, peaceful culture. Whatever the reason, I'd rather be taking orders from a Genjutsu than any other life form, absolutely. One of the more amazing things about them was they never used hyperwave communicators. They could send messages naturally, and their natural hyperwave receptors were much more sensitive than even our best units. We didn't really get much of a chance to learn about those mechanical beings, but I'll tell you what I know. They're the product of a distant, unknown culture who sent a giant factory arc into our region of space many centuries ago. The Mother Arc, that's what the Earth Press called it, turned out millions of robots and finally broke down. I don't know why the Myrnaherm didn't repair the Mother Arc. Maybe they can't. My personal guess as to why they were sent here is that they're on the leading edge of a colonization project. And once the Myrnaherm have tamed enough new worlds, the genuine colonists, whoever they are, will arrive and claim their due. Most raw recruits saw the Siren as nothing more than warm-breathing pin-ups. Warm they are, and yes, they do breathe most magnificently, but
okay.
Captain, they are far more than simple joy.
Why do you
history shows the Siren established and maintained a peaceful culture from their Bronze Age through their discovery of starflight. Before their planet was destroyed in a horrible cataclysm, their world was an Eden. What other group of aliens are you interested in? Which species? Our enemy is cunning, relentless, and possesses technology superior to all, but perhaps that found aboard your starship. The Ur-Quan are born, live, and die for one purpose only: the subjugation of all other intelligent life in the galaxy. Why? I don't know. They'd probably have an easier time just destroying intelligence, but they're very careful not to use more force than is necessary to achieve their victim's submission. I'd sure like to know what made those wormy bastards as twisted as they are, and I'd like to know why they keep on the move, never stopping longer than it takes to enslave whomever they find. The Mycons are hard to get a handle on. In fact, I'm not sure any human has ever had a real conversation with a Mycon. What we know of them, we've learned from their corpses, which, I may add, have a nasty habit of coming back to life when thawed out from a decompression quick freeze. Mycon ships seem to expend a significant amount of energy on life support. This is probably because the Mycon only thrive in temperatures close to the melting point of lead. As far as we know, the Mycon are the only race to actively seek out the Ur-Quan in order to become combat slaves. Imagine facing a cowardly, mobile clam armed with a howitzer, and you've got a good idea of what it's like dealing with a Spathi.
Yeah.
Although they tend to avoid battles as much as their masters will allow, once in battle, a Spathi eluder is one tough cookie. I once heard a rumor, though I don't like to believe in it myself, that a rogue band of courageous Spathi broke away from the main Starfleet, painted their ships black with bright red stripes, and formed the Black Spathi Squadron, dedicated to performing brave and hostile deeds. Like I said, I'd have to see it to believe it. It's unfortunate that the Umga fell to the Ur-Quan so early in the war, because I suspect we would have gotten along well with those big blob creatures. At the very least, it would have been entertaining. We know them a bit better than most races because they were eager to talk with our ships before, after, and during battle. The Arilu intimated that they had a relationship with the Umga before the Ur-Quan arrived, but I don't know any details. When I was flying combat missions along the Corward front, there was nothing we feared more than the Androsith hit-and-run squadron. Their blazer ships were more than a match for our cruisers, so we stayed clear of Eta Vulpeculae, their home star. In addition, I think each of us aboard the ship knew deep down in our hearts that the Androsith had a damn good reason for hating us. Our grandparents had kept them as slaves for nearly 50 years.
Androids, basically.
I still have nightmares about those spiders taking me prisoner, using me as one of their 6 sacrifices to Dogar and Kazon, their twin gods of destruction and torment.
Nice religion.
Those guys were almost as scary as the Androsynth to those of us in Deep Space Patrol. Their Avenger ships could appear out of nowhere and melt a cruiser down to slag in seconds. Luckily for us, the bulk of the Ilrath fleet was thrown against the Genjesu and the Myrnaherm. The Starship Far Voyager under the command of Captain Jeffrey L. Rand encountered the Vux near Beta Mira. Although the details are hazy, it's generally accepted that Rand offended the Vux starship commander with an inadvertent insult. What other group of aliens are you interested in? None that we had made formal contact with. The Genjesu implied that they had met 2 other star-faring species, one near the Gickless constellation and the other directly corward from Procyon. The Arilulale once mentioned having some fun with an alien race in Draconis, but like so much else with the Arilu, they never revealed the whole story. I'm sure there are hundreds more alien races in our galaxy, but beyond what I've told you, your guess is as good as mine. Would you like information on any other aspect of history? Sure. Anything else? Can you be more specific? That all depends on whom you meet, doesn't it, Captain? Well, in all seriousness, if you encounter the Ilrath, Vux, Androsynth, or other hierarchy battle thralls, I wouldn't hold out much hope for a peaceful encounter. So if you feel you have the advantage, attack. The resources you will scavenge from the enemy's wreckage are well worth the effort. If you can find Alliance races who are in a position to help us, then you must convince them to join with us. Their assistance may be crucial to our success. What else can I tell you? Fine. Is there anything else you need? Blow up an Ur-Quan for me, Captain.
Okay, so what we could do is storage space from 750. Okay, we at least need the storage bay. That's fine. Tectonics class 4. Ooh. Yeah, IO has lots of interesting stuff, but it's has very bad tectonics. That's like a suicide to try to approach this place. So far, so good. Okay, we lost like one person. So far, so good. just lost one crew member exploring this moon here. Tectonics class 2. Well, that's manageable. This is more valuable. Ouch. Lost four crew members. People are just resources. And it actually matters how much you lose people in the long run. Oh yeah, this was the day when the Pluto was actually a planet, considered planet. And there's Neptune. That's like the most valuable thing. Oh no. Arsenic. Okay. Don't sniff it, guys and girls. Very small amounts of. Trace amount of minerals here. And this was released in a time before the exoplanets were actually found from the space. So this is actually a better class 8. No thanks. No Tectonics. This is like atmosphere is super thick. Nothing we can do here. Uranus. Yep. Nothing to see here. Charon dust. Calcium. I'm sure they have added some sci-fi minerals in here. But yeah, the planets that where you can find from this place. It's actually they are not that far from the reality, but this was back in the day before the exoplanets were found. So this kind of was a prophesizing game, slightly prophesized the exoplanet find. I would like to turn better, but we don't have can't afford to have like a upgraded flagship. Okay, there's one element and some energy reading. Crystals. Mayday from surface. We have come under fire from an alien vessel we found hiding on the surface of Pluto. Captain, they killed Kowalski, Fritz, Jean, O'Donnell, Luigi and all the three of the Lieberman triplets. We have returned fire, but our stunner can't penetrate the ship's hull armor. We are in the emerging launch procedures. End of the transmission.
Attention, a big, mean, hostile alien vessel hovering overhead in an obvious attack posture. This is Spotty Captain Whiffle. I know you are going to torture me, so let's just get this over with right now. The coordinates of my homeworld, Spatiwa, are 241.6 by 368.7, and the ultra-secret Spotty cipher, which is known only by me and several billion other Spotty, is Happy Muffy Duffy. Sorry about that little mistake with your landing vehicle. I was so startled when it approached my vessel in a threatening manner that my automated defense systems fired on it when it got too close. I hope nobody got hurt.
Hi there, friend. We come in peace and mean you no harm.
Are you sure? Because your statement is often just a more polite way of saying, attention alien vessel, identify yourself or be destroyed. In any event, I am Spotty Captain Rico of the void ship Star Runner, placed here in this planetary system as part of the powerful Earth-powered Star Force, which our master, the Ur-Quan, established here to make sure the Earthlings don't do anything tricky. About 20 years ago, this region of space was dominated by a loose confederation known as the Alliance of Free Stars, which was composed of the aliens native to these parts who did not want to be enslaved. They made a valiant effort against the superior Ur-Quan forces. It even looked like they might miraculously defeat the combined Ur-Quan armada, right up to the point at which the Ur-Quan totally defeated, indeed annihilated them. When the Ur-Quan armada entered the system to subjugate formerly the Earthlings, the Ur-Quan presented the humans with the standard slave options. Join the hierarchy as combat roles and retain some autonomy, including the right to travel through space, or become a fellow species and return to free atomic savagery on the surface of their homeworld, encased for all time beneath an impenetrable force shield. The humans chose the latter option, and so were swiftly imprisoned on the surface of Earth. But the Ur-Quan didn't trust them to obey the restrictions, so they chose a small group of hierarchy combat starships from the Inlet and Spartan fleets to create the so-called Earth Guard and station them at a base on Earth's moon. Originally, we were stationed on Earth's moon, which made us spotty a bit uneasy because with each passing day we grew more and more worried about the sneaky Earthlings making a surprise attack. Though the Illrat kept telling us that it was impossible since the Earthlings had no ships or weapons whatsoever. That made us feel a bit better, but when the Illrat left, again we grew fearful and decided to make a strategic redeployment to Mars. Later on we decided it would be prudent to relocate to Jupiter's moon, Ganymede, then later Saturn's moon, Titan, and finally here to Pluto. The Ur-Rat contingent were supposed to be the toughest ridge crest, the most rigid flipper, yes, the backbone of the Earth Guard force. But they departed the system en masse not long after the last Ur-Quan dreadnought vanished from this region of space. They claimed to have received a direct order from their gods of evil and darkness, who had grown dissatisfied with the Ur-Rat's passivity and wanted them to kill or at least torture someone soon. Personally, I believe they just got bored and went off to have some fun.
That's probable.
Well, when they were pushing up into hyperspace 18 years ago, we asked them that very question, and I think they said something to the effect of, "Real soon."
18 years ago.
We decided that if the Earthlings figured out we had abandoned the base on Luna, they would be more likely to try something sneaky. So, we rigged up some old service androids and ordered them to drive around on the lunar surface in bulldozers, endlessly pushing around the same piles of dirt. In addition, we connected the base's local radio transmitter to an audio malnorme fun rum called Winky's Happy Night, hoping they would think we were still there.
Distress signal.
Over the past years, it became necessary to redeploy strategically some of our Earth-Guard forces to our homeworld in case of a sudden surprise attack by a vicious, unrelenting alien race which we Spotty call the Ultimate Evil! Dozens, that is to say scores and perhaps even hundreds of my brethren stride through the corridors of this specially modified, super-efficient, mass destruction-oriented starship, which could lay siege to an entire planetary system should we choose to do so, which, fortunately for you, we have decided not to do today. I am undone! You are far too clever for a poor spuffer like me, and now I must submit to your superior alien intellect. I guess I am not revealing any truly important secrets if I tell you that each of my species' lunar-class void ships typically holds 30 spuffer crewmen, though at present my vessel, the Star Runner, is not up to full complement due to the needs of my homeworld in their resistance against the Ultimate Evil. And in fact, my vessel is somewhat understaffed right now, seeing as how I am the only spotter on board, which is a bit frustrating, as I am sure you can understand. How true, Captain, how true! In truth, just between us, during the past 7 years, I have been quite ill at ease, and yet now I find myself enjoying your company. This witty dialogue, and the presence of your huge, powerful, death-dealing starship, which, being my friend, you would certainly feel compelled to use in order to save me from any hostile life forms who threatened me with death. As yet, the Ultimate Evil remains largely unmanifest, and its powers and exact intentions are still a bit obscure, since it lurks just outside the range of even the most sensitive long-range detectors, which we feel gives conclusive evidence as to the Ultimate Evil's nefarious intent.
Right.
Since it was our most powerful and unforgiving masters, the Ur-Quan, who stationed us here, we knew it would be grossly stupid to disobey them completely, but we decided it would be okay to send just one ship home. We used one of our most ancient and solemn rituals, Un Taffy, to pick the lucky ship. Then, some months later, we decided that it wouldn't really hurt if we sent one more ship home. And then later we sent another, and then another. Well, you get the idea. Alas, as fate would have it, when the final ritual was performed, I, Rusel, was left here alone. For as even the most immature in wrestling knows, there must always be one spotter who puts the short top on stick. our masters don't really keep us very well informed about their goings-on, so that all we know is that immediately after the subjugation of the last Alliance race, the Hut, I think, the Ur-Quan gathered their dreadnoughts and departed for the edge of the galaxy, commanding us to obey the slave laws or face their wrath when they returned. We only know bits and pieces of what happened to each race. For instance, when defeated, the Hut joined the hierarchy as combat roles, while the Sirene chose to be slave-shielded on a planet in the Bug Squirt star system.
Bug Squirt.
No, that's not right. I forget its name. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, the Shofixti. They were utterly wiped out in a gigantic blaze of glory.
Oh no.
The Shofixti were half feral, as you know, having been uplifted by the Hut just a few decades before the start of the war. Given their habit of detonating those suicidal so-called glory devices in combat, it came as no particular surprise to me when, upon the arrival of the Ur-Quan Primary Task Force at their homeworld, the Shofixti caused their sun to explode in a colossal supernova,
Well,
destroying
damn.
the entire planetary system, and not incidentally dozens of Ur-Quan dreadnoughts.
Okay.
Me? You mean me, personally? Well, nice of you to ask. I was born a poor green infantling, the youngest child of a family of
Big family.
18,487. My male parents had to work hard to support us, very hard. But each of my brothers and sisters and I tried to help out to make ends meet. The female parent was kind and sweet to all of us. Why, she once even called me by name.
Once.
She said, what a treat, a golden memory. I swiftly matured into a fine example of my species with my parents' assistance. Achieved independence. Specifically, they pried me from the door jam and rolled me into the street. Thus prepared, I set out to make my fortune. I had great dreams in those days. Yes, great dreams. I knew that someday I would be vastly rich, wealthy enough to afford a large, well-fortified mansion. Surrounding my mansion would be vast tracts of land through which I could slide at any time I wished. Of course, one can never be too sure that there aren't monsters hiding just behind the next bush. So I would plant trees to climb at regular, easy-to-reach intervals. And being a study of the world, I would know that some monsters climb trees, though often not well, so I would have my servants place in each tree a basket of perfect stones. Not too heavy, not too light, just the right size for throwing at monsters. I was thinking about what color the stones would be painted, aqua, mauve, or magenta, when a vegetable cart came careening down the street outside my house, and left me unconscious. When I awoke, I was aboard the void ship Star Runner headed for Earth. Apparently, I had been out of my head for quite some time after the accident, and with the assistance of some kind strangers, had been relieved of my funds and convinced to join the Navy.
Right.
Where I have been unpleasantly employed for the last 25 years. Happy days and jubilation! I discard all prejudice and hesitations and accept and celebrate your offer of protection and your undying commitment to my well-being. I must wax melancholy for just a moment though, and make sure you understand that any other spaceships we meet at large in the galaxy are not going to be quite so responsive to your friendly gestures as myself, since they bear more heavily the yoke of Ur-Quan enslavement and are also apt to talk themselves out of allying with a totally unknown alien, which I, having been left here alone, cannot do. Welcome me aboard, Captain.
Now we got like a spotty eluder. Okay, that's a soul system. We need to get more crew and offload the minerals.